If your baby is born prematurely, as a parent you can often feel helpless, totally reliant on the care of nurses and doctors, fearful about your child's future, not to mention the financial and emotional cost of a lengthy stay in hospital. Now, one neonatal unit in the UK is trying to address that by putting parents in charge of their baby's care. The parents decide when to give the medication and when and how to feed their babies. They take lessons in looking after their children the moment they're born. And because parents are far more involved than they were before, nurses say the experiment in Leeds has had a dramatic effect on patients and their families. And it all came about because of a cost-cutting drive in the Soviet Union back in the 1970s. Nicola Rees has had exclusive access to the unit at St James's Hospital.
Oh, that tickle.
It's just nice to feel like a mum instead of somebody just stood watching.
I could feel her, so I felt safe, and she felt safe being near to me. My smell, her smell.
There's a quiet revolution happening in Leeds.
So 36.8, that's perfect. It's in a normal range, so that's fine.
You sound like a nurse.
Yeah, I feel like one.
A new project which they hope could solve massive problems and save money. Yet it seems blindingly obvious.
It's not rocket science. It is such a straightforward thing to do, to allow parents to look after their babies.
The care is new, but the idea isn't. Dreamt up in the 1970s in the Soviet Union, the baby unit, where the parents take control. Baby Lola's in the special care unit at St James's or Jimmy's Hospital, born at just 23 weeks with little hope.
So this is Lola.
It is. The midwife said to me that the chances of survival was really, really slim. And then during labour, one of the neonatal consultants came to see us. He painted a really bad picture that, you know, she could have all sorts of things. In the intensive care unit, it was terrifying. It's something that very few people get to see, I would imagine. She was absolutely tiny. She had wires coming out of everywhere. She did actually have a twin brother, but sadly he didn't survive. She's given us something positive to focus on. I don't know how we'd have coped if it wasn't for her.
Lola would certainly have died but for modern medicine. We've become much better at keeping premature babies alive, but in the past that meant keeping them away from mum.
It seems hard to believe, but as recently as the 1990s, if you wanted to see your baby outside of strict visiting hours, these windows were as close as you could get. Parents of premature babies were on the outside looking in.
That disconnect has lasting consequences. The bonding process is much harder to establish. Breastfeeding rates are lower. And there's also a financial impact with car parking, meals and loss of earnings. An average stay in a neonatal unit can add up to well over £2,000. And then there's a psychological impact. Parents of premature babies are twice as likely to suffer from postnatal depression than those who have healthy full-term pregnancies. So this neonatal unit at Jimmy's wanted to end all that, and they took a big risk to start what's called family integrated care.
Family integrated care aims to get the parent at the very centre of the team caring for the baby, which is really different to how neonatal care has evolved in Western healthcare.
So one of the jobs that we have to do is take a temperature maybe every 3 or 4 hours. It's just a simple procedure really, just a thermometer on the wall, and then it's just a case of going in under her arm.
Parents are taught to pass nasogastric tubes and to feed their babies. They're taught temperature taking.
Maybe forget one time.
Basically everything but the most complex medical treatment.
And do you know what you're looking for here then?
Yeah, it's got to be within a certain range. So 36.7, that's perfect, that's in a normal range, so that's fine.
So in the past, care has been very much kind of the nurse leading it, so saying, right, it's feed time, it's bath time, whereas now it's very much the parents that are leading that. They will feed the baby when the baby needs feeding rather than when the clock says it's feed time, and that's much better for the baby.
Hello, beautiful girl. She looks really well.
She's doing really well.
And she's putting on weight.
Katie had daughter Molly 8 weeks early.
They had to get her out quite urgently, and that was a little bit of a shock. My partner wasn't really prepared. She wasn't breathing properly to start off with, so that's why they pretty much took her straight away. But when I first went to see her, she was attached to like a CPAP machine, which was helping her breathe. Hello.
Yeah.
While I'm here, I pretty much do everything that a normal mum would do, just confined to a cot. Everything, from feeding to medicine, cleaning, bathing, everything.
Do you get much of an idea of how the nurses feel about handing over the control to you? Has there been any resistance, or are they all really
certain things like the tube feeding, they obviously watch over you quite a bit to start with because it needs to be done right. Things like this, temperature, it's not as vital. So yeah, they like to make sure that you know what you're doing. They wouldn't just leave you to it. Yeah.
And this is just one of dozens of jobs that you have to do for Lola every day.
Absolutely,
washing and cleaning and
weighing
feeding and full-time job. Isn't
Absolutely,
it?
yeah. I enjoy it though.
You wouldn't change it?
Not at all, no.
It's a total culture shift to help parents bond with their babies earlier, yet the idea is 40 years old. Tallinn, Estonia, in the former Soviet Union. The head of the local neonatal department had a big problem: too many patients and not enough nurses. Dr. Adik Levin came up with a pretty basic solution.
The idea came because of the nursing crisis.
My idea was that mother must be a member of our team. It is logical. Why the healthy baby in maternity ward stay with the mother, and why the premature baby must be separate? It was for me absolutely non-logical.
But he was going against the entire Soviet medical system.
In Soviet Union was written that mother is dangerous for the baby, that mother can be the person who bring infection to the baby, understand?
Mother is not a bystander anymore, but has an active role in the healing process.
Giving nursing jobs to the mothers was a massive success, though.
The doctor has allowed the introduction of a skin-to-skin contact. While lying on mother's breast, he receives fresh breast milk.
He'd achieved better breastfeeding rates, shorter hospital stays, healthier babies.
We hope that this experience can be taken over by people from other countries, as this kind of medicine is not only human, but also much more inexpensive.
But it took 30 years for a hospital in Canada to cotton on. Australia, New Zealand, and eventually Leeds.
Why on earth has it taken you so long to introduce something that is essentially fundamental, parents caring for their babies?
I don't know is the honest answer. I think if you look back through the history of neonatal care, I think with advances in technology and the recognition of the importance of infection control, that has led to the gradual separation of the premature baby from the parents, and things have just evolved from there.
Nursing numbers here haven't changed, but now they're mentors. Today, Katie's tube feeding Molly.
Okay, so we're looking for pH of 1 to 5.
Steady hands to feed it up her nose and into her stomach.
Okay, so you can see you're getting a bit of digestive milk from the stomach.
Being around it and watching it has made me more confident when I've come to actually being doing it, and then the help show every little step.
It has been a major culture change. Certainly there has been anxiety amongst the nursing staff.
I think it's that having to let go and realise that actually the parents will be perfectly safe doing it.
Instead of nurses providing the direct care, nurses were supporting the families to provide the direct care. And traditionally in nursing, you're the caregiver.
And be honest, were you ever concerned that it was a cost-cutting measure or that there was an element of that? Never?
No, I don't know, because I think initially it isn't really a cost-cutting measure because it takes a lot more time to get the parents competent.
But could it also work for the most poorly babies? They're rolling out the project in the intensive care unit in the sister hospital. The stakes are higher here. It's life and death. And parents currently have a less hands-on experience. It's where Lola was first treated.
How involved were you able to be at the other hospital?
Not much at all to start with. So you could put your hands in the incubator and just touch her on her head, but that was as far as it went. It was 9 days before she could come out and be held, but then you've got ventilators taped to you. You're just terrified of moving and also terrified of holding her. You know, what should be a really magical moment, which it was also really, really scary.
But when it's safe, they do already encourage skin-to-skin bonding in intensive care.
I'd been begging for days to hold her, but because of her breathing, they delayed it and delayed it and delayed it. When I did, they said I could hold her for about an hour, and then I was able to cuddle her under my clothes. I could feel her, so I felt safe, and she felt safe being near to me. My smell, her smell. Just really emotional. It's an emotion that you don't prepare yourself for. She did so well that I ended up having 8 hours straight because her breathing got so much better. So I got 8 hours of bonding and she got 8 hours of being very well. And she progressed. So
Do you feel better prepared now for home?
definitely, yeah.
When might you go home?
Tomorrow. And I can't wait.
So what have we got here? We've got everything?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. You've got all my medicines and everything, so don't lose time. I need it.
Thank you.
All right. Keep in touch with us. I will do. I will do.
How much of a difference has it made, this place?
A lot. I've got a lot of thanks to give when I leave.
Nobody wants to stop it. It's definitely here to stay. Everybody can see the benefits of it.
They're getting home sooner, that their long-term development is improving. We've got increasing breastfeeding rates.
The fact is that families are going home more confident and more able to care for their babies, and that means a lot.
She was 37 weeks and 5 days when we came home. They told us to expect her home on our due date, which was the 3rd of April. Without the family integrated care, we'd have been in a lot longer. She's on oxygen still. They wouldn't allow us to come home with that. She's still on a lot of medication that we have to give her. I feel really confident in everything that they've taught us. I'm really grateful. I love her. She's perfect. Absolutely amazing. Yeah, she's my little miracle. You all right, yeah?